Hello, I'm George Coll. Welcome to part one of dry wash. This is going to be a 3 or 4 part series. Okay, so today I'm working on a 14 by 20. So I'm elongating it and I have to kind of change things and be my own editor to try to stretch this painting out a little bit. And I go through that process as well as the basic steps of finding where your shapes are and putting in color value. So, with that, let's take a look at this 30-minute video and get ready to do some painting. All right, get outside and paint. Paint with your friends, get critiques, and don't be intimidated by a white canvas. Okay, let's start painting. Bye-bye. Hello, and welcome to part one of dry wash. And I'm George Coll. And this will be a 3 or 4 part series with impressionistic style of painting. So that's what is going to be happening today. And I'm joined by Studio Cat, so she might be meowing or, wanting to get attention throughout this. She always steals the show. But I'm working from photographs. I recommend that's not the best way to learn. The best way to learn is get outside and paint. And I'm here to teach you techniques of how to deal with the problems that you run into in studio or outside painting. All right, I've got my brushes, mostly Rosemary's. I got my knives, my mixing knife, and I've got my scraper, and I've got a razor blade scraper because I am working on glass. So this part one, what we want to try to do is figure out where these shapes are going to be. And you say, well, where are these shapes? Well, I see these 2 cliffs coming in, and then I see another triangle on top, and then I see this sandy wash, dry wash down here that kind of comes toward the viewer. So I'm thinking this is a good composition. So let's start right away by figuring out where these major shapes are going to be. So I try to divide it down into about 5 or 6 major shapes. Don't get too complicated at this stage of the game. I got my paper towels underneath. I got my Gamsol here to work with I have my Gamsol here in my wash bin. And I have some clean Gamsol in a little tray here. So, probably going to be working with all this just really rough ideas and trying to figure this thing out. So, in the next 27 minutes, I want to try to get where the shapes are and get some sort of a thin wash of color within those shapes. Okay, so where to start? Stay away from white. Let's just try to work with the basic colors, basic color mixtures, and staying away from white. So I'm going to go with transparent oxide red. Transparent oxide red. I'm drawing with a number 2 Rosemary, long, flat, series 2025. Added just a touch of Gamsol. So I see a triangle up on top, starts up here. I'm working on a 14 by 20, I believe. Somewhere up here. And there's a flat piece here somewhere. And try to find the center of the painting. I think from here, I might have the center. Let's see. I think I'm a little high. There we go, there's the center. And what I want to try to do is come down and I think there's a lower section in here. And then here we have shape. Up. I have to make this one the dominant one, and this the not so dominant on the right. Now, what good painters do, and I wish I was one of them, they do sketches, you know, on their field sketch book, and I get that, and I've been taught to do it, and I'm just never got around to putting it in my lexicon. Big dark bush over here, and I think this guy is here. I'm getting back, and I really think, you know, I understand people that need to sit down and paint because, you know, they can't stand up that long. But if you can, I recommend that you stand up. It just helps me get back more often to get a perspective on it. There's many ways to get a perspective. You can get a mirror and look at it like this and look at it from a different angle, turn it upside down. This even has to go over more. Let me just play with this. Now there's also a greeny type bank here that comes out under here. And then up here there is dark connecting. And I'm going to bring him high and then angle him down on that side. Lots of darks down here. I think the other thing is I have a 14 by 20, so my vertical is wider than the reference. So I'm always having to do, you know, that Photoshop thing in my brain. Change things around. So right now, I think these two are different enough where they don't look the same. Lots of darks up in here. Transparent oxide red. I think I'll keep the Christmas tree out or whatever that thing is in the center. And this is going to come toward us. And this is going to come angle like this. There'll be a whole bunch of sand here, but this will be the bright sand in here. This will be the duller sand as we go on here. And there's a bunch of junipers up here. But there's also a ridge of some sort, a stone ridge right in here, kind of in a purple, right up in this area. And then there is blue sky. Let's start figuring out where some of these minor shapes are, such as junipers. So I'm just going to pick up some transparent oxide red. This time I'm going to add a little bit of cobalt, transparent oxide red, and cobalt. And here's going to be one right in here. And then there's going to be junipers here. Transparent oxide red, cobalt. Transparent oxide red, cobalt. A lot of junipers in this business. And a big major juniper right up in this area, up in here. Ooh, my right shoulder's getting tired. All right, let's keep going here. This goes over here a little bit. There's kind of a dark on the bottom of the, that purpley type rock formation, and then up here, it's kind of a different value, but there are junipers. Okay, let's go to transparent oxide red. Transparent oxide red. Alizarin. Transparent oxide red. Alizarin. Dark. Dark. All right, let's go to transparent oxide red. Ultra. Ultra. Alizarin. Alizarin. Let's get some darks in down here. And let's get this taken care of right in here. See some darks and some darks here. I think these junipers come down farther. I'll make different size stuff, different bottoms. In other words, see that I have one angle here, another angle here. So I'm giving them different angles, so one's behind another. They can also tell you which way a slope is going, and I use all kinds of little tricks to show us what's going on. It's a bunch of, I don't know what, junipers at the base of these. Some sort of a purpley thing here with the rocks. And let's see, more junipers. And I think that is a start. Now this may make more sense to me than you, so I mean I can translate my lines and know where things should be. Now, why I get back so much is to kind of get a perspective on my lines, too far to the left, to the right, or the bushes too big, too small. And that's what I think can really help you with this shape. It's easier to change the shapes now than later when you have more paint on. One thing that you can tell here is that my paints are thin, see? I'm running a flat knife over it and it's really, really thin. I'm working on canvas on gator board. All right, let me take a sip of my coffee and check the time. And we are going to switch over to value colors, okay? All righty. Value colors, it's a color with a value. A value, think of the grayscale from 0, 1 to 10. So it's a mixture of color and a value scale. And that's why I call it a value color. Let me get this somewhere safe so I don't keep knocking it around. All right, so let's get these dark colors in here. So let's start with some orange. Alizarin. Transparent oxide red. Transparent oxide red. And a little transparent oxide brown. going to choose a wide brush. This one was given to me here recently by my artist friends for my birthday. And it's a number 10 master stroke flat. Just nice and soft and big. Get a little bit of Gamsol in here. Just a little bit of Gamsol in there. I'm going to add a little ultra to this, little ultra blue. And here we go in some other places, laying some darks in. Now, I want to go to the island next because I see some of that color value here as well as around the sides of the bushes. But maybe, just maybe, I should get the purple first. So let's go to diazazine and alizarin. And this time, I'm going to add some white. Some light gray. Diazazine, light gray, and I'm going to spread that up in this area right in here. Okay. I see a lighter version of that, so I will thin it down even more. See some more of that right up in here. I'm going to soften that up a little bit. What I mean by that, I'm going to get a softening brush. And this will be a Premier something or other, Creative Mud. It's I think a 2-inch brush. It's just kind of indiscriminate back there, so I am going to just be very loose with, carry that over here a little bit. I'm going to check my time. I hope I have 15 minutes left. 11 and 15, 12 minutes left. Okay, so let me get this guy here, the green we were talking about. For me to do that, I have to kind of get some stuff out of the way. And that's what I'm doing right now. Trying to be in control of my palette. I try to squeeze out my paints liberally so I'm not, being so stingy with my paint. But I'm not trying to, at the other side of the spectrum, put too much paint on. I want thin stuff right now that I can work on top of. By doing these color value shapes, I can get a better sense. Lines can tell you one thing, but once you get a volume of color value inside, you can tell a lot more, like, make this bigger, smaller, deeper, richer, all those kind of things that come to mind. All right, so let's go white. And let's try a little bit of yellow ochre. And now a little bit of permanent green. So we are going to do a little bit of permanent green. So it's basically white, yellow ochre, and permanent green. And I'm going to try it out. I'm going to add a little bit of olive to it. Olive's a weak color. I don't know why I buy it in a tube, but I do. Should make my own. All right, time to give it a try. So I'm going to go back to that big brush. Try to get that color out of it, the one color. And let me see what I can do about getting some of this in. Thinning it down with hand saw. And turning to the side of the brush now, trying to get paint off of all sides of it. I was in Canyonlands with my wife Jenny this last May, and that's where I took these reference photos. Whew. And I want to keep this thin, so I'm going to, a few places, soften it with my brush or my paper towel. And now let's do a few greens in other places, like right in here. I see some darks in here, which I'll have to get if I have time. But I want to stay with the big shapes while you're still here. And let's get to the sand and sky with the remaining time that we have. So I'll put this over to the side because I think I have a little bit I can salvage there. And save it. All right. I have 7 minutes. What am I worried about? Lots of time. All right. So we're going to go to Naples. And white. Transparent oxide red. And white. And make it a little darker with some sienna on one side. Raw sienna. Up too much, jeez. Well, so much for that idea. A little bit more raw sienna. Be careful. All right, I'm going to switch over or back to the number 10 Softy that I have here. And I'm going to put that in right here. And boom, and boom. And put it in a few other places. Okay. This is coming along. Now I'm going to go into the little bit darker color. I'm going to add just a touch of alizarin to it. And I'll put that in down here. I think I want to go a little bit more red alizarin, some yellow ochre, and I want to put that right over here on the bank, coming down, and right in here. I think it's light too, in this area. I'm getting back and taking a look. All right, it's working. I'm going to do some ultra and some olive. Yellow ochre. More ultra. I think there's some darks in here. And a lighter version of this down in here. And now I'm going to go back to the color that I had down here, and I think we need some of that in here, here, and here. And we need a big hunk of dark right on the bottom. Viridian Ultra Transparent Oxide Brown. So far, so good. I think I need some of that lighter stuff up on top. Let's see if I have any left. So I think I need some up in here. It's a little bit lighter value up in here. And in a few other places up in here too. All right, let's get to the sky. So if you have cobalt, that's good. If you have Sevres, that's good. Or Viridian is good. I am going to use a Sevres Bleu. By Rembrandt. S-E-V-R-E-S Blue, number 530. All right, so if the dinger dings, what I'm going to do is get the blue up here. And off camera, I'm going to redefine where those juniper bushes are going to be and cover up any of these little white things from the canvas peeking through. Okay, that's your homework on this one. All right, let's get some white in here. Huh? I had some contaminated white. Let's see if that does any good here. That really screws things up, darn it. I have to get some clean white. So, you know, that's the least I can do to make a good sky is to get some good clean white. I'm using titanium white. Winsor Newton, this is a student level. It's get lots of it for cheap, but there's a lot better brands of white. But this one really works for us guys. All right, let me get some more Sevres out. A little dab will do ya. Okay. So in my normal way of doing things, I've got a darker blue and a lighter blue, because the horizon is always lighter than the higher heavens. Okay, playing this brush. Squeeze it good. Get some clean Gamsol and put that along the base. Isn't that pretty? Nice. Stop. All right, so what I'm going to do here is put the lighter stuff here, and then I'm going to get the darker stuff up in here. Okay, I'll see you in part 2 tomorrow, and thanks for checking out another video. All right.